All right, good afternoon and welcome everyone. We are here today as part of MARKETECH APAC and MessageBird's Connecting the CX Dots in 2023 webinar series to gain a comprehensive understanding of how to better harmonize CX in your brand model. Last April 27, we kicked off the series with conversational marketing theme. Today, we will discuss how brands can make sure that they are following an ideal map, right, that will bolster their customer experience journey. Today, we will hear from 5 industry experts from different brands and markets. And let us join the conversation while they are sharing their expert tips and experiences on effectively mapping the omnichannel customer journey. Now, the speaker who will be presenting today, right, for those who attended our first webinar last month, is someone you're already familiar with. So joining us for the second time, Mervyn Tan, team lead for APAC sales at MessageBird. And for those who are seeing Mervyn for the first time, Mervyn has been driving digital transformation and communication solutions for enterprises in industries such as banking, fintech, retail, e-commerce, and also government. Today, he will talk about understanding the value of omnichannel as well as the tools and resources that can help boost your customer journey strategy. Mervyn, how are you?
Hey, hi, Jovan. Hi, everyone. Love the energy. Thanks for the introduction.
Take it away, buddy.
Thank you. All right. So, hi, everyone. My name is Mervyn Tan from MessageBird. I serve brands in Southeast Asia, helping them craft and fuel their omnichannel strategies. I'm going to start the session a little lighter with a fun fact of myself. So, not known to many, I actually love singing, but I can't sing really well. And if I could, my dream was to sing for a living, and yet here I am, attempting to captivate you with my beautiful voice. Okay, so the best marketers look to identify and reduce points of frictions in today's customer journey, but we don't always know where to start. Today, I'll be sharing a little more about omnichannel engagements and how we can create a good strategy around them. This will be followed by a panel discussion with an exciting lineup represented by business leaders from some of the most successful brands in the region. So feeling ready? Let's go. Sometime 15, 20 years ago, brands determine which channels customers get to engage them at, be it banks setting up ATMs, restaurants and supermarkets setting up stores for customers to make transactions. Today, not anymore. If your brand is not present when a consumer wants it, someone else will. Customers dictate when and how they actually engage with your brand. I want us to take a step back. Let's not look at our customers. Let's look at our personal lives instead. How do you feel when you are booking a Grab and get one that's 14 minutes away? You probably canceled the ride, booked another one, and possibly get stuck with one that's 16 minutes away instead. Frustrating, isn't it? Now look at our customers. Look at everything they do, from shopping, food and groceries, financial transactions, holidays, education, everything is in the now. Instant gratification is not an expectation anymore. It is a given. Consumers' behaviors have changed. The ever-connected world has made our interactions with friends, families, and even brands more instant, effortless, and rich. In today's digital-first world, companies need to provide seamless customer experience in order to survive. And for marketers, this means fully embracing omnichannel as part of your current vision. Savvy consumers today knows the best way of finding a product, from visiting your Instagram to your website to downloading your application to try the experience. From research, 71% of customers are already using multiple channels to start and complete their transactions. Today, on average, a customer uses 6 channels during a purchase compared to just 2 channels 15 years ago. Today, consumers are expecting a cohesive customer journey across channels and devices. The term omnichannel has been around for multiple years. This has been confused with multi-channels or similar concepts. Multi-channel means a brand is being represented and is able to publish across a wide array of channels like websites, social media, advertising channels, and physical locations. Messaging is rarely coordinated effectively to present consistent facts, design, or uniform brand experience. Each tool and each channel works in silos. A customer engaging a brand with 4 channels can possibly be experienced 4 different brand personas, with each of them working in silos. And you want these silos to be working together, integrating into one, to help have a single profile of your customers across all channels. This is important to help you consolidate qualitative data of your customer experience, which can then determine the engagement strategy for each individual customers. By doing so, customers can start receiving personalized information, receive progressive dynamic content as they continue to engage with your brand. Doing all of this can actually help you lead to higher engagement and conversion. A good omni-channel strategy can help reduce customer frustration when receiving conflicting information from different channels. Think of this experience. You were just making a complaint about a credit card, decided to terminate all relationships with the bank, and then receiving a marketing email from the same bank. Frustrating, isn't it? Omnichannel engagement really is the art of orchestrating the customer experience across multiple channels, coordinating activities across silos to achieve a consistent message to customers no matter where and when they choose to meet you. This helps to then create a unique brand experience that distinguishes your brand from another. Okay, so in the past 5-7 minutes, everything sounds rosy, everything sounds perfect, creating an omni-channel strategy, but we all know it doesn't just happen overnight. We have broken this down into 4 key steps to help get you there. Step 1 is turning unknown to known. Every journey from a brand's point of view starts here. So for marketers, this is 101. How do you get users to identify themselves as a big win? Some ways brands do this can be: 1, using gamification to boost engagements. Gamification is actually a great way to engage unknown users and get them to interact with your brand. You can use games, quizzes, and other interactive elements to make your website or marketing materials more engaging. 2, re-engaging unknown users with lead gen ads. It is a very powerful way to reach out to unknown users who have already visited your website. You can use retargeting ads to remind these users about your brand and encourage them to take action. 3, offering incentives for users. This is one of the best ways, again, to turn unknown users into known users, to offer them an incentive to provide their contact information. This could be anything from a discount on their next purchase or to early access to new products and services. 4, you need to make things easy for a user to sign up to your email list. The easier it is for users to sign up for your email list, the more likely they are to do so. In case you are deploying this, just make sure your email sign-up form is prominently displayed on your website. That is clear what users will get in return for providing their contact information. Step 2, onboarding your customers. We all know how important first impressions are. It sets the tone for a relationship. Greet someone inappropriately and they are less likely to be interested in getting to know you. Conversely, welcoming someone with open arms, with a warm smile, showing genuine interest, you are likely off to a great start. For marketers, it's no different. We are in the relationship game. Treating customers like you would treat your acquaintance is imperative. When a customer comes to your business, the onboarding process is the first impression. When greeting them, a warm welcome always makes someone feel comfortable. You should focus on these for every of the customer you engage with. Fortunately, customers come to you with some basic information. Use what you know to personalize the first encounter, such as a welcome email. Use it as a launch pad to get to know them better. As time goes by, to learn more about your customer, this is comparable to asking your acquaintance more questions. As you learn more, you can then tailor the engagement so they can resonate more deeply with each individual. Past the acquaintance phase, your new friends, and in this case, your customers, have been embraced with open arms, and they have been interacting with your business for a while now. With any business relationship, as you move through different phases, you learn more about the other person, which enables you to bring more value to the friendship. For marketers, again, it's no different. Every engagement provides us with insights you can use and then to enhance future interactions. This can be the type of content they clicked on, the channels they engage with, or their buying habits. In person-to-person relationship, we call these behaviors. For marketers to customer relationships, behaviors are showcased in the form of first-party data. This information can be used to personalize every interaction. Instead of sharing the same message everywhere, use marketing channels to guide people through a journey to your business. For instance, if a customer is not responding to email, you can reach out to them via WhatsApp instead. If a customer responds best to what's new, you can optimize engagements across new releases. By putting your first data to work, you make your engagements less generic and more human. This brings us to step 4. Relationships are all about growth. Understanding and evolving from such relationships. In marketing, learning comes in the form of measurement. As individuals, we measure how people respond to things all the time. We consider these responses in deciding what we do every day. This is the same process that occurs between brands and customers. Marketers need to constantly measure what works and what doesn't in order to grow business and drive customer lifetime value. This can be done through both individual and aggregated insights. Individual insights is when a single person tells you something. For instance, someone telling me they love my singing. This is equivalent to a review from customer about a recent product or service they purchased. It is specific to them. Aggregated insights, on the other hand, for instance, I get a bad haircut and everyone agrees. This is equivalent to a poor open rate in a batch and blast email. Both measurements are valuable as they teach specifics about the audience, such as personal preference, but also general information that can be applicable to all. To ensure customers are receiving the best possible experience, marketers must pay attention to both types of measurements. And to do this at scale, this is where you need to leverage on great analytics and also engagement tools out there. And this is where we come in. MessageBird is a cloud communication platform connecting brands with customers over channels like WhatsApp, Instagram, and Facebook Messenger. We have the widest coverage of channels in the region, including Viber, WeChat, and many others. To help brands deliver an always-on brand experience, we provide an automation tool to deliver the right message at the right time. With all these engagements, we then combine the data with multiple tools to create a single centralized database. To sum things up, here are 4 things we covered in creating a seamless brand experience. Number 1, getting to know your customers. Number 2, making sure you make a good first impression. Number 3, continue to personalize your engagement with customers and augment your first-party data. And number 4, measure your results to drive continuous improvement. With that, I've come to the end of my presentation. If there is any questions, you can feel free to reach out to me in the email listed over here. Passing on to Jovan to bring us on to the next segment. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mervin. Those are very interesting insights on how to create seamless brand experience. But you mentioned many times there about your singing. So maybe I'm interested to know about your singing to nudge. I'm just kidding, right? So we have some questions here, right? So first question that we would like to ask here: what are the factors must brands take into consideration when choosing which channels to be present, okay, in putting up its omni-channel journey structure?
That's a great question. I think there are multiple factors that need to be considered when determining which channels you want to implement this. First and foremost, it will be the modes of engagements you have with your customers and the markets that you actually operate in. I think many of our audience attending our webinar today can be from MNCs who are operating in multiple countries. For instance, to engage users in Malaysia, Singapore, and Indonesia, WhatsApp is the perfect channel. The penetration rate is more than 90% in mobile users here. Whereas in Philippines, this is when you want to implement channels like Viber to engage the communities in country, as opposed to Thailand, and you will use channels like Line. So it really depends what are the types of markets you actually participate in and the types of message that you want to drive through them. Using OTT channels will allow you to send interactive messages. It allows you to have a fun conversation with a customer in a channel of their choice, right? But these also should augment what you have with your existing capabilities, including your own website, your physical stores, and other channels that you are deploying today.
Right. Okay. So got your point there. So you choose the platform where your audience are, right?
Exactly. Yep.
And nourish your relationship with them through those platforms. So the next question that we have here, it says, a successful customer buying journey is one with as little friction as possible. What are the concrete manifestations of this friction, and how can brands mitigate them or avoid them altogether?
I think one key way where friction can come by is where you are driving different messages across different channels. So in part of our session today, we covered multi-channel versus omni-channel. While you want to participate in as many channels and programs as possible, the most important thing is to ensure that you have a single unified message going out to all customers. So this customer can be reaching out, say, via Instagram, via Facebook ad, or maybe even a paid Google search engine sort of results out there. All three different engagements should yield the same result. And by giving customer the assurance that this is a unified response from a brand, it can definitely help reduce the type of friction that they can expect. That's number one. Number two is definitely making things easy for your customers to access. We spoke about the world of now. People want everything. People want instant gratification in terms of enjoying a particular service, right? It is also making your brand ever present in channels that you expect users to actually be at.
Right. Thanks for that, Melvin. And my last question here, actually, it's not my question, right? But it's the last question that I'm going to ask, okay, from our audience. Changing the content as the customer evolves can be extremely laborious, right? Or maybe exhaustive, right? And difficult to capture in real time. So what's your advice in order to do this successfully?
Right. What a great question. Coming from feedback from brands that I serve, I think exactly one of the best things would actually be tech. And the other thing that comes by is actually process. Number one, you want to ensure that companies, or rather your organization, is equipped with the technology to consolidate data coming in for customer. And these are data that continues to evolve, that helps you to deliver dynamic customer content personalization. Yes, coming with all these technologies enable you to engage your customer in a way where they feel most relevant at any point in time. That's number one. Number two is ensuring that you have a tight process internally in ensuring that every channel that you deploy follows the same technology that is enabled within your organization. It defeats the purpose if you are spending tens and hundreds of thousands in best-in-class technologies, but not every single channel of your engagement tool is using them. Then it don't deliver a unified image to your consumers out there. So to sum it up, two things. Number one, equip yourself in technologies that can help you. And number two, draw up processes in ensuring that this is a process that everyone in the organization follows in engaging your customers.
Right. So choosing the right technology partner like MessageBird, of course, right? And also be consistent, right, in terms of your messaging. Yeah, Melvin, thank you so much, right? We're going to move on to the next part of the program. And are you excited to do this, Melvin?
Whoa, 100%, 100%. As I was saying, I'll be joined by some of the best performing brands in the region, and it's really obvious. I'm the thorn amongst the flowers, and it's my pleasure to be welcoming the panelists to be joining us today.
Melvin, again, is joining us as for the next session as he moderates a panel discussion with 4 amazing and empowered women marketing leaders in the region. The floor is yours, bro.
Right. Thank you, Jovan. Joining me today, we have Iris from CARSOME. We have Bia from Colgate-Palmolive. We have Nancy from FlowerStore.ph, and we have Neha from ZALORA Group. I'll be inviting each and every one of you to introduce yourself and to start the session a little lighter as well, a fun fact of yourself. Let's start with Iris. Over to you.
Hi, everyone. I'm so glad to be here in today's session. I'm Iris, and I'm with CARSOME, and I'm overseeing brand and social content and all of that. Fun fact about myself, why I once drove Eric Cantona in my car around KL City, and he also once prank called me. So I don't know if that is a fun fact, but yeah, that was pretty crazy.
I'm a big fan of him, and I love that he's the brand ambassador for CARSOME. So welcome, Iris.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Next up, let's have Bia. Over to you.
Hi, Melvin. Hi, everyone. Great to be here. So I am Impactful Brand Experience Lead at Colgate-Palmolive Philippines, looking after digital transformation, media, and total ecosystem marketing together with our brand and e-commerce team. So quite an integrative role over here. Fun fact about me, I'm glad to see that we have so many participants from all over the region. So from a marketing and professional perspective, I am a regional citizen as well. So I'm back in the Philippines after spending about 5 years in Singapore, some time in Shanghai and China before moving back a few years just before the pandemic. So looking forward to the regional exchange where we'll get lots of great perspectives from different markets. So so excited to hear from everyone today.
Thank you, Bia. Welcome to the panel. Next up, Nancy, over to you.
Sloven. Hi, everyone. I'm Nancy. I'm the marketing director of FlowerStore.ph. FlowerStore expanded in Vietnam and Thailand, but our main operation is really in the Philippines. FlowerStore is about flowers and gifts. So if you need a gift for a birthday, anniversary, or Father's Day is coming up, so just visit our website or download our app. And I guarantee you will get the best deals for your gifts. Fun fact about me, I think this is not really a fun fact for my OB and my partner, but last year I was pregnant and I was just really anxious to give birth. I get to a point that I was stress eating. Like I remember like 2 hours before my water broke, I ate like 4 slices of pizza and 3 pieces of chicken. So which is not good when you're just waiting to deliver. So my OB was pretty mad. By then I was like, this is not gonna happen again. So it is something that every woman should not do. Trust me, it's not something that's not really good, especially if your family is just so big and you don't know where all the food would fit in. So yeah, something that I think a good experience during my pregnancy.
Wow, that's really interesting indeed. My wife is expecting herself as well, delivering in 2 months.
She has to manage the eating on the third. Yes, especially if you're just waiting like days before.
Right.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. And next up, we have Neha. Over to you.
Hi, my name's Neha and I lead marketing for ZALORA. Fun fact about me. So I was not supposed to be here, not in here as in this session, but in the field of marketing. I was going to study absolutely something else, which is sociology. And I just hated the college that I went to for 5 days. I gave all of that up and suddenly decided I will change fields completely, not go anywhere near. And I land myself here. Better or worse, I can't say, but it's been years now, so I'm assuming it was better.
And I'm sure ZALORA would agree that it's a better choice that you made there. Understanding customer journey in different channels. My first question goes to Iris. What are the key components of a strong omni-channel strategy for a brand, and how do you leverage them?
Thanks for the question. It's a very interesting question because I come from a very digital background. And when I joined CARSOME, it is both a digital and offline customer journey. So as a business that offers both online and offline, I think having a clear customer journey mapping tied together with a robust brand experience framework is very crucial because we want to ensure consistency, whether the customer is coming from our website, our app, or walking into our retail center. We want to ensure that the outcome of the experience is consistent, especially catering to different segments of our customers. So both brand and customer experience need to work hand in hand in order to provide that. So how do we come up with the brand experience framework or the customer journey mapping? So we use a lot of data from market insights, NPS, we've even done mystery shopping and also brand health tracking. And we sort of put all the data together and come up with the insights to identify that common touch points and channels that our customers use for the segments that we are targeting. So as well as what are the pain points that they're facing in each of these touch points or each of the different stages of the journey. So having well-trained people on ground is also very important because they are the frontliners who will be delivering the experience to our customers. So training is definitely, and all this data that we have collected, we will leverage this data to create the training modules for our on-ground frontliners. So regardless of which center or which salesperson that the customer is engaging with, we want to ensure that the experience is consistent for them.
Right. I mean, I like how you are taking a 360 approach in looking into things and ensuring that there is consistency regardless of the channels that they reach out to you. And I'm sure your customers do appreciate you doing this for them. For Bia, what do you think are the aspects to consider when planning for an omni-channel strategy?
Couldn't agree more with what Iris has mentioned, but I'll add 2 more answers to the list. First is really the readiness of the team. For those of us working in an FMCG environment, not everybody is thinking and planning only for digital experiences. So we have, significant number of members still working in brick and mortar. So when we talk about omnichannel, it really can be a bit tricky when we're going really the full range of online to offline. So the first question is really, we might have an omnichannel strategy, but do we have an omnichannel ready team? So we do have questions still come up from time to time about who is going to pay for promotion and who's going to manage the promotion of promotions that are really more specific to a retail environment. Is it going to be the social team? Is it going to be the retail marketing team? So those are things we still encounter from time to time, where there is a lot of integration required to be seamless and provide that great customer experience. So ownership, accountability, process, so that we can serve the customer in a unified way is very important. The second thing is to ensure that if you're a brand like we are, where you have a large portfolio of products, how do you select the priority omni-channel environment for each product? I think when we say omni, it doesn't mean everything everywhere all at once and you have to be everywhere equally, right? So it doesn't mean that we will not be strategic. It doesn't mean we will not make choices. So we are always tailoring what are the priority omni environments for different types of products, different types of categories, and different type of SKUs. For premium products, we will select the correct e-commerce marketplaces. For those that are really our core business drivers, then it's a more offline strategy. And when there is a synergy between the two, we make sure that it's properly managed as well. So I think those are the two main things. Is the team ready? And are the priorities in place so that we can make sure to have strategic choices?
Right. I think having good priorities and ensuring the team is actually ready is extremely important in actually planning the entire strategy altogether. So I totally agree with that. But meanwhile, for Nancy, how can brands leverage data to understand customer journeys and integrate them with technologies across different channels? How are you guys doing it?
Yeah, thanks, Melvin. The good thing about omnichannel marketing is it allows you to have individual and aggregate insights that will help you make personalized messaging and services to your customers. So once you have this data, it actually helps you to understand your customers and optimize the impact of every campaign you run. Also, the data will help you learn more about your customers as they go through your marketing funnel, from discovery of your brand, consideration, to making the conversion or making that decision to purchase. Once you understand them more, I think it helps you to create engagement strategy that will resonate with them more and use the data that you have for future interactions. So this could be in a form of, which channel they're using more or they're engaging with you more. And also, especially, which content they're consuming or clicking on, especially how saturated it can be, the digital space. And of course, you have to be very, like what Bea said, you have to prioritize. You cannot do everything at once. You have to see and analyze how your customers are moving through your marketing funnel, which platform are they consuming. So if they are more into emails, you can then connect with them through emails, send your offers, send anything that would resonate with them through email. But if you have a customer segment that is more into social media, say for example, the Gen Zs or the younger millennials, then you have to focus on that. Focus on the channel where they are, their preference, and then make your strategy more human and less generic. I think that's the good thing about having this consumer data. It really helps you to personalize the experience and to ensure that you're delivering on the promise of a seamless brand experience and shopping experience by your customers.
Right. I like how you are resonating with what Bea mentioned. I think in a perfect world, everyone wants to do everything everywhere all at once, right? Just to quote you. But again, budget resources are going to be extremely limited right here. And on the topic of providing personalized, seamless, end-to-end customer journey, let's now then talk about strategies that can help marketers meet customers and when they are on an always-on and digital-first buying journey. Let's kick off with you, Nia. What is the significance of personalization?
I think personalization is the most important principle for a customer. The reason we go offline shopping is one is always to explore, but the other is also when you enter a shop, you get that personalized experience. You have someone assisting you. You ask them, they make it easier for you to find what you're looking for when you're not out there to explore. And the fact that when we are at the ease of our home, if we get all of that experience virtually, it just makes decision making a lot more easier. Also, the attention span while you're on the phone without getting distracted for multiple other things is very, very little. And hence, it becomes much more inevitable that you if you don't get the personalized experience, because that's the hook for you to stay on a particular app or platform or whatever you're doing for a very, very long period of time, right? And that's what a lot of social media platforms are thriving on these days. So pretty much for us, where it's a very conversion driven platforms for all of us on this webinar today, the more personalized content, the higher the chances of conversion, the faster the chances of conversion. And hence, I think what Nancy and everyone was alluding earlier, right? Data becomes a very, very important part of it, because that's where you get all the signals, that's where you get all the insights, and hence creating that seamless personalized experience that when I open any platform that all of us here are representing, it should mean for me, it should be everything about me. Hi Neha, how are you? Do you want this? Do you want that? Is there a particular dress you're looking for? You like this brand. Why don't you buy this brand? And there it is. Whereas unless if you give them a full bouquet, and you might lose them somewhere in the journey. As more and more platforms are growing, it's going to be 1:1 ratio of what we are offering to each customer.
Right. So would you say being able to offering them what they want, when they want it, would be a winning strategy in this case?
Absolutely. It will always be a winning strategy. Upfront, give them what they want when they want it. It's tough, but I do got to say it's tough because you have to be in the mind of the consumer literally. So somewhere data can help you, and hence you need a lot more insights coming your way to say what they are looking for. There are different strategies, right? I bought a particular type. You can add layers of similar type and get them to attract. You can add an extra layer of what they bought to plus something else. So there are ways, and actually versus online gives you much more possibilities of trying to offer consumers a lot more than what they are looking for. It may be slightly pushy in the way, but then it helps in the long run for sure.
In my opinion, I appreciate the pushiness because it serves as a reminder that, hey, I might need this too as well, right? Okay, so for Iris, as an end-to-end platform, how does CARSOME take advantage of customer data and leverage on AI automation to create this seamless and personalized omni-channel experience?
Okay, before I go into that question, whatever Neha said really resonated with me. I think I'm one of the people who actually fall for these recommendations, and that's why I'm always buying things online. Yeah, so I think it goes back to a very fundamental question, right? To understand your customer, first of all, you need to be able to put ourselves in their shoes. How would we want to navigate this journey, whether it is buying or browsing, an item. So for us at CARSOME, because we are sort of an incumbent in this category, which is an end-to-end platform to buy and sell cars. So there is a lot of things that we need to do to educate our target segment. So of course, mapping out this segment and understanding the segment, creating user personas are very important, because there are certain segments that maybe they know the brand, but they are not very likely to try out an end-to-end online platform to buy cars. But there are also a segment that has high propensity to try out this category, but they are not aware of, for example, CARSOME. So when it comes to a brand strategy, all these things will come into play. And having enough customer data will definitely help us make a better strategy to address that. So, for example, we live in a society where we want things right now, and we are not willing to travel and go the extra mile to get it, to find out. So what we have done is we have created a way to bring the experience to them through live sessions. So basically through this live session on Instagram or on TikTok, we will talk about, what are the services that we offer, what are the cars are in our inventory, all the way to even doing a car review for them, where they can instantly ask questions, can you show us this? What about this feature? So it's very interactive and also bringing the experience to them without having them to, venture out to actually view and see the cars. So that is something that I think it is quite effective and quite prevalent with brands and also with the younger audience nowadays. So in terms of in a high involvement category like automotive, recommendation is really important. So making sure that we are constantly getting feedback and making sure the customer has a very seamless or easy way to leave their feedback and share their reviews is very important for us. So other than providing this kind of, the usual way of using AI and automation, which is providing 24/7 support to our customers, I think AI and automation can also provide more accurate information or recommendation to our customers, like what Neha said. You may be buying this, but we are thinking ahead. Maybe you need this as well. Have you considered this? So in our case, we actually do a lot of recommendation in terms of the cars that they may like based on their lifestyle, based on their budget and all of that. And we also use this kind of, we also use data that we have collected to benefit the customers, because when they sell their car, we are able to price the car more accurately according to market rate based on the brand, the model, the year, and also the condition of it. So this is a win-win situation for both the company, the business, and also the customer.
Right, interesting. I particularly like how you are using channels like Instagram and TikTok to actually do some form of live reviews and all these. Are your targeting strategies for Instagram differing from TikTok? How does it work for CARSOME?
Definitely, actually, with the rise of TikTok usage, right, we see a lot more people who are more willing to shop or at least research a product on TikTok, and we have been we are doubling down on the effort on TikTok by providing a lot more live car reviews and also video car reviews. This will help customers make better decisions, of course. Whereas on Instagram is more of, a little bit more aesthetic. So we will talk about car features, cars that are a little bit more on the premium side. This kind of content actually work on Instagram.
Actually, I'd just like to add to that. I think a really interesting point that Iris has made, right? All these platforms, they are all tagged under the social umbrella, but they are also different from each other, and they all serve such different intents for the customer, because an Instagram is more about posts and now a lot more about reels, whereas your TikTok is just videos, and the type of content is also very different. It's a lot more interactive. It's a lot more humane, whereas Reels are a lot more environmental driven. And then you have YouTube, where it's just long form videos, though over a period of time, they've also realized that there is not much one does not want to see long form, and hence a shorter version of it. And then you have your old one, which is Facebook, which is again more about statics. And just these four platforms, and of course a lot more, right? Snapchat, there are many more that keep coming and going in the journey, but just these four platforms and different types of content, is the same content can be personalized to platform to customer in four ways, and can really serve a lot more purpose than just probably what you would see traditionally in the probably now golden days. But yeah,
great insights. I think it's also important how marketers can actually make use of different channels to their advantage. And love to hear from you, Nancy. How does FlowerStore actually effectively leverage the various marketing channels for a seamless customer buying journey yourself?
Yeah, being an e-commerce platform, we try to be available wherever our customers are at any possible moment. So think about organic, where you do social media, partnerships, paid, where you do TikTok ads, Facebook ads, Google search, and then you do your SEO. At this point in time, it's all about being present and being consistent with our messaging across all channels. So regardless of where we are activating our ads or our content, it's all about the key messaging that we deliver across our channels. And it's very consistent, because at the end of the day, for a brand to really scale, you have to stick to your brand core, to your messaging. You cannot, for example, for us, we are tagged as the Philippines #1 e-commerce gifting platform in the Philippines, and we're trying to scale to have this in Southeast Asia level. And we do this in several things. We have our USPs, like we have the widest assortment of gifts, flowers and gifts, and we do free same-day delivery nationwide. And all of this, it's all about being consistent with your messaging and with your promise. So if you're saying we do same-day delivery, you have to commit to that. So it's all about not just being present in different marketing channels, but being consistent with your promise and with your messaging. And for us, it's different. Well, we're very consistent with messaging or with the brand core. The approach are a bit different. So for example, if we're targeting the Gen Zs or the younger millennials in TikTok, the videos that we're rolling out, it's not too commercial. It's something that would resonate with them. It's something that they would want to watch. So in Facebook, we're targeting the mass market there. So if you're going to see the content, it's very light, fun, engagement, something that people would love to engage with, something people would love to comment on. For Instagram, it's a bit more upscale. It's a bit more, we're targeting the AD market because we noticed that people who are using Instagram are more affluent. They are more, they have more purchasing power. But one thing that surprised us is really how email is making a difference for us. They say that Philippines is not an email-driven country, but trust me when I say it's not true, because it's like one of our key drivers in terms of sales. Because I think this is where you can make a very targeted and personalized messaging and offer to your customers. One thing that we do is, for example, since we have this data of our customers, every birthday that one of our subscribers we know that their birthday is coming up, we just sent them a special offer, something that they don't usually get on a daily basis. It's like an extra offer that we give it to them. So it's all about understanding the channels that you have and understanding how your market is consuming that channel, and of course being consistent with your messaging.
Right. And I do agree, being consistent with the messaging and being in the channel that resonates the best with your audience is extremely important. Shifting gears a little, I think if we put a counter speaking about data, I think each of us mentioned this word 10, 15, 20 times at the very least. I want to move on the topic of integrating consumer data of different channels. How are marketers actually integrating all this information across different channels in the omni-channel structure? We'll start with you, Bia. These days, I say marketers often struggle with too much data, actually. So how do you think are the various ways we can actually manage and leverage these to boost the omni-channel approach?
Yeah, I think this is such an important point, Melvin, because it's one challenge to collect data, but it's the different challenge entirely to ensure that you have usable data and insights from your data. And we have so much now, there's campaign data, channel data, retail data, customer data. So, it really is like an endless sea of what you can have access to and collect, right? And on our part, we've definitely had the case of too much data. We've had meetings where, there's people pulling up all their own dashboards, that we had a joke that we should make a dashboard to keep track of all the dashboards in the company because there's so many dashboards. So I think, as a marketing industry, we're past that point where people don't know how to access and collect data. It's really about how do you use it and ensure that it's something that you can gain insight from and improve your performance in the funnel, right? So two things I think are important. Number one is purpose. Now that we have ready access to everything, how are you going to use the data? What is it for? So two things we keep in mind under this bucket are what type of KPIs are important to us. And we look at number one, performance KPIs. And these are the things that tell us we've succeeded based on different channels and efforts. But then we also have a wealth of optimization KPIs, things that we can learn from, things that we can use to pivot. So you can say what goes where. It's a CTR. Is it a KPI that's about performance or just for optimization? And it really depends on your goals as a business and that particular work stream and that particular channel. So I think for everything that we do, it's important to identify what really is the measure of success. And then the rest is just about learning from that data. And then the second thing is about infrastructure. As I said, there's so many ways to manage data, but it's important to have house, a method of collection, and all of us who are the digital practitioners and natives here know how hard it is to manage. And we've had challenges with naming conventions. Data is only as good as how much you can analyze and cut it up, right? But if we're just collecting and it's just there and it's in one big pool, nothing is harmonized, nothing is cleansed, then it's really useless. So making sure we have the infrastructure to store, to manage data in a privacy compliant way, and then to allow us to analyze and reuse is something that every organization has to work on in terms of, again, that purpose. How are they going to use the data later on?
Right. Thank you, Bia. Neha, I see that you are very excited to make a comment. I can't wait to hear from you. How does this work in terms of customer acquisition, platform usage? How does it work for you at ZALORA?
Actually, why I was really excited was just before this webinar, we were in a meeting where there were 5 of us and we all pulled out four types of data. And between the 5 of us, we are trying to reconcile 20 types of data and figuring out what we need to do by the end of it. And then I had to drop off for this. So I was like, oh, a real life example just happened here. But yeah, I guess there is so much data from the time you open your eyes in the morning and the first thing you do is look at your phone, data starts there, and then from there on it's just a whole journey that's going on. So for us, it pretty much broadly is as Bea mentioned, and I'm probably only thing that's going to happen is I'm going to use different words, but she pretty much said what I want to say is, for us, it's broadly 3: acquisition, engagement, retention, and then loyalty, right? So who is the universe? What are they consuming? We've acquired one type of customer. How do we go after more? Is there a lookalike somewhere? Who's the whole pool that we are going after? Once they are in, what are they doing in? What is it that they are consuming? How do we bracket them into different types and sort of serve them what they are looking for? What is their behavior on the platform? And then once we've figured that out, how do we keep bringing them back in and keep serving them what they are looking for? So it's data at every step of the funnel. From the time you start, even after you've done, there's data to say, okay, now this person's opened the email. Okay, now go back and probably show them something else on the email. So it's, I think we, at some point of time, we will have to rename online to data, because that's what it probably survives on, right? And that's where you get every insight to sort of make and do what all of us are doing right now. Too much data, yes, too much data. But then, and also there is no way to also in future reconcile, because every platform captures data in a different way. A social platform versus a Google Analytics, and then you have a lot of new types of platforms coming in, and then you have your internal platforms as well that do it. It's quite a task to sort of, it's so more than data. I would really say one should really work on analyzing that data, because like as Bea mentioned, there's no dearth now. What you really take out of it is where the key lies, and how you integrate it back into your platform, into your customer journey is the most important thing. So like I said, I've just rephrased it using my own words, but the message is the same. Absolutely.
If I can add, Neha, we're actually at a point where we're saying, let's stop collecting some kinds of data, because there's a time when it's like, let's create new flows. We can find out this, we can find out that, but then you get like a 5% completion versus your whole base, and then you can't really use it relative to the entire database that you have, right? So we're at a point where we're saying, let's just choose exactly the kind of data that we need. And that's all we should focus on, so we can have 100% completion on those data points, let's say. So, I think we're at a point where we're actively cutting down, and I think that type of purpose will guide those decisions.
Right, interesting. And I think it zeroes back to the point you made earlier, Bia. What's the purpose of collecting these data and only take things that you actually really require, right? I'd love to hear from you, Iris. What's your take on using data and how making them work for you?
Yeah, I think I got a crick on my neck from nodding throughout the discussion between Bia and Neha, because it's so real and so relatable. Because I think every one of us face the same thing: too much data, but don't know what to do with it, or is it really useful? And to go through so much data, it takes time, it takes resources. I think the best way to do it is really to be laser focused on the objective that you want to achieve as a brand, or your marketing objective, and try to draw insights from there, and also being able to enrich the data that you have with market insights. I think that's a key thing for me, especially in my work, because sometimes if we are just looking at the data that we have, on its own. It doesn't really give us what's really happening out there. What are the people that are not interacting or have not engaged with your brand? What are the barriers for them? Why are they not considering your brand? So all those things, I think we need to take into consideration in order to give us a fuller picture of what is the next step that we should do.
Really interesting. Next
Yeah,
up.
and I'd just like to add over there, and this is where this is, I know we are talking about this, but this is where there is a bit, I'd always say there's a bit, and hence human beings will never be instinct, is because you need those people by the end of it. And that's where your qualitative researches come, where they come offhand and tell you why they are not doing it. No amount of data then helps to decide what's going to happen. And then you need these people to come in and tell you what will it take or what do you need to improve. So it may be slightly contradictory, or there may be one could really make data and term it anywhere. But yeah, there will always be people involved because at the end it's for them.
Right. It really is marrying the pool of talents in terms of human resource that you have internally, the technologies that you have to collect all these data in making sense, deriving insights for your organizations. Our audience have a pool of questions, but in the interest of time, I'm just going to pick a few. The first one is actually for Nancy. With a prominent website, what would be the non-negotiable features of a website to ensure that CX on such platform is inspiring and encouraging for people to finish the buying process?
Very interesting. Thank you for the question. It's different for every brand, but for an e-commerce platform, it's, of course, you have to make sure that your interface is very user-friendly. Do not confuse your customers with anything. Just be straightforward, make it user-friendly, and make sure that your website is always fast, especially with the always on digital first consumers. They don't have time for a website that will just take time to load. They will just, your bounce rate will be definitely high if that happens. And I think for us, it's very important. For example, if a customer is coming from search and they're looking for roses or sunflowers, we make sure that we have assortment of products available. We ensure that on what we promised, flowers, gifts, etc., it's there. So aside from having a user interface that's really good, you have to make sure that you have the collection that your customers need. You have the products that your customers need. Third is, I think this is very important, especially if you really want to collect data and understand your customers more. Have a subscription. This is for your first party data and to ensure that you can build loyalty later on. It's very important. For us, like what I mentioned earlier, email has been one of our game changers in terms of approach, in terms of rollouts, because from there we understand how our customers are really, what makes them buy, what's making them decide on the product that they want to purchase from us in terms of AOV as well, etc. So like what I mentioned earlier, also it really depends on your KPIs, on your brand, what you need to feature in your website. But I think in terms of being technical, make it very user friendly and something that people would love to explore later on.
Right, absolutely agree, Ken. I think brand loyalty is really very important. I think acquisition is really the toughest part in getting a user in. So nurturing and then retaining them is the next important part right there. We had a question from Kevin Fong, Head of Marketing at Shopline. Iris answered these in the Q&A box, but I just want to ask the other panelists as well. So this is the question. After building customer personas and mapping out their omni-channel journey, how do we track and measure every step of their journey along the funnel? Or do we only measure the end result, be it it's a purchase or lead? Maybe this question I'll direct it towards Bia.
Great question. Personally, I have a view on personas. There's a way to write it where it can be like too much. We spend so much time on the persona. So what's important, I think, is really about use cases. What are the reasons that people are coming into your online omni environment? What are their needs? And I think what you should measure is how well you're able to serve those needs. I don't think it just is about the end result, because there might be drop-offs along the way, right? We know that depending on load time, depending on assortment, when they get to an initial page, the health of the landing page, there could be other things to consider that might be hampering ultimately the end conversion. So I think it's not just about, are you happy with the conversion you have as an end result, but what are the opportunities along the way that you need to take advantage of further? So it's marrying all those use cases. Do you have a good understanding of what needs are as people enter your environment? And are you able to convert as much of that as possible?
Yeah, I
Right,
think
and I agree with that as well.
I'd just like to add to what Bea said, right? It's very essential that one does not only look at conversion and keeps sort of looking at these behaviors, because there's always a shift from one behavior to another. And every behavior then is treated very, very differently. So while and there's always a shift from a person who's come one time to a person who's on your platform. Even in that, there's always, their behaviors are very, very different.
I have another question coming up. It is important for us to track every stage of the journey from awareness through conversion or only at conversion. But now with omnichannel, would tracking every stage on every channel be overwhelming? So earlier we spoke about having too much data and trying to make sense out of things, right? Maybe I'll point this question to Iris. What's your take on this?
Yeah, hi. Thanks for the question. I think I wouldn't just track conversion. I mean, echoing what Dia and Neha said, I think that is the goal, but it shouldn't be the only thing that we are tracking. For us, for omni-channel, first of all, we need to identify the key stages where we can measure drop off and understand from there what are the barriers, why are the customers dropping off, what are the common pain points that they're facing in each of these stages, and that's how we can tweak and also optimize our strategy to be able to cater to that, because ultimately we do want to nurture customers down the funnel all the way to conversion. But if we are just tracking conversion, we are not able to identify what are the issues or what are the pain points and how we can actually address these pain points for our customers. So that's why I think it's important, and that is within the marketing funnel. But there is also the upper funnel, which is the brand funnel, which I think is also important for us to understand, because as you are driving your brand, you are communicating certain things and you are trying to shape perception of your brand, you need to understand what kind of communications actually resonating with the segments that you want to talk to.
If I can add, I think for those of us, and I know all four of us on the panel have been in the business for some time, so we know how to manage probably a conversion rate, but there's also the P&L perspective, right, in terms of profitability. So there's other ways to look at maximizing that in terms of basket size, average order value. Ultimately, are you driving the most profitable SKU? So I think, it's not just are you able to convert someone who comes onto the platform into buying anything or buying something, but ultimately, how are you growing the business, and is growth really what you have your eye on? So it comes with a prioritization of metrics, I think, depending if you're in that growth stage where you just have to, reach as many people as possible, or are you already trying to turn a profit, in which case you have to turn your eye to other metrics as well.
Right. Sorry, we don't have time to take all the questions. I'm sure we can redirect them to the respective panelists. To close the discussion, let's talk about operationalizing the omni-channel path for brands. How do you think brands should operationalize the path for each individual use case? For you, Nancy, what do you think are the best steps to operationalize a brand's omni-channel strategy?
First, we focus on three things or key elements. One is data. So you have to understand your data, and then from there you define your omni-channel marketing strategy, as mentioned earlier, and then with other panels as well. You really cannot roll out just everywhere. You have to manage your resources, your budget. So from here, you have try to understand your data and then define your omni-channel marketing strategy and which ones you want to prioritize along the way. Second is technology or automation tools. I think this will help you in integrating your data and have various channels communicating with each other for you to really provide a seamless customer support or customer experience and brand experience to your target market. So there are several tools and technology you can use nowadays, and it's really a matter of finding the one that would make sense for your brand in terms of budget, in terms of the size of your company, or how. Also, it depends on the KPIs that you have. So it's really a matter of choosing which one you want to partner with and which one you want to utilize so you can implement your omnichannel marketing strategy. Third is people or your consumer-facing teams. This is, I think, the most important aspect of omnichannel marketing, because you cannot have just the marketing department rolling out the strategy. It should be a company-wide effort where your customer support, your sales department, your operations are involved to ensure that you're really delivering on the promise of a seamless consumer journey. So you have to ensure that everyone is aligned. Everyone is aligned on effort on the omni-channel strategy that you have. Otherwise, there will be pitfalls. And the last thing is that everything is not working because one department is not aligned on and efforts that another department is rolling out. So this is really in a matter of, aligning also the department, the company, everyone before you roll out any strategy for omnichannel marketing, regardless of how big or small or a startup your company is.
Right. So streamlining data, defining strategies, and also aligning everyone. Love that. What about you, Dia?
Yeah, I think, one of the themes, right, that's come up today is how many potential areas and channels there can be in omnichannel. So I think that's going to be the strategy and selection there is what's going to allow us to still provide a good experience. If we're trying to be on, 30 channels versus 5 or 10 channels, then definitely the level of execution will be different, right? So I think you have to really be able to prioritize, as we mentioned earlier, and that comes down to two things. First is understanding what are the consumer needs and what are the priority channels where you can serve those needs. Are they looking for information? Do they have intent to buy? Are they comparing? So how well you can manage the data signals that you have to diagnose that and serve the correct content, will allow us to have the right success on each channel. For example, we take a lot of time to mine keywords so that we understand what content will push conversion. So it helps with traffic, it helps with, mid-funnel once they're on your own environment. Or we found out that people are always looking for deals even when they're not in a purchase environment. So how can we bring that to other places? So that allows us to serve our consumers better. And then the second thing is, now that we have that data, how do we prioritize the top converting pathways across what consumers are looking for? So we have, what we call our power SKUs in different environments, and we ensure that the experience is fantastic on those power SKUs. Would we like to do it over thousands of SKUs? Of course, but realistically, we can't monitor 1,000 as well as we can 100 or 50 or 250. So we try and create those prioritizations because where are we getting the bulk of the business? So the idea of prioritization and strategy, even in an omni world, is something that ultimately will allow us to have those priorities and deliver something great to the consumer where it matters the most.
Right. So I'm beginning to see again across the questions that we had, prioritizing resources is really a recurring theme right there. So for Neha, next questions for you. How did ZALORA successfully integrate offline and online experience through an omni-channel approach?
Yep, I think thanks. And I think Nancy and Bea said, prioritizing becomes very important. And I think the other keyword that was used was experience. And I'd like to actually answer this with a recent activation that we did, and now we're doing. So we did a bit of a pop-up store with one of our brands. This was in Singapore, also in Philippines, also in Malaysia, in line with some of the key events that were at that point of time, like Raya. And I think that was one of the most successful activations where it was a complete story of an omni-channel approach. So one could experience these items there, one could come, one could try, and all you had to do was order there and then, and it would be delivered at your place. You didn't have to roam around carrying those bags. You didn't have to do anything extra, pay there. All you had to do was try it, experience it, feel it, and it's delivered at your doorstep. And what more, in case you want to return it, it doesn't work, that can also happen. And for us, that really does work well in the entire scheme of things, because that does open a lot of doors to people who might not open your app daily, or who might not visit you and now see you outside on a platform somewhere, and they want to experience what you do, right? Because at the end, fashion sometimes does become about trying as well. Beauty becomes about trying, or shoes, or any of that becomes about trying as well. So for us, that it's been an experimentative stage, but it has shown great results. And now it was just about building scale and taking it to the next level. But at the very least, and the perfect integration does sit in place. And then you work on some of the other challenges that may appear in the journey of this.
I see. Thank you, Neha. And you, Iris, what do you think are the effective approaches for brands to personalize and optimize their omni-channel strategy based on the different use cases?
So I think to just take a step back, I think having an omni-channel strategy is great. And understanding, of course, your customers' use cases or customers' needs in different touch points. Those are all very crucial for the success of the strategy. But I also like to bring up the point where whatever the strategy is, it also needs to be in line with what is happening in the market. So I'll just give you an example. Being in the car industry, it is a very high involvement category. That means a lot of people are not willing to buy, especially used car. They are not willing to buy a used car without having seen the car, touched the car, and test driving the car. Right? Not many people are willing to do that yet at this point. I hope they will, but we are not there yet. So the thing is, during one of the versions of the restricted movement during the pandemic, it really dampens our business because people can't come to us to test drive the car, and when they can't come to us to test drive the car, they are not willing to buy the car. So how we actually tweak our strategy according to what is happening in the market is we bring the car to them. We have home test drive, so you can just set an appointment and someone will send the car over to you to test drive around wherever you are. We have home inspection as well, so you want to sell a car because during that time, I think a lot of people are really struggling financially, and because they don't really need a car to go around. So there are a lot of demand for selling their cars. So that actually really worked out well, where they just make an appointment and an inspector will turn up at their wherever they are to inspect their car. So this is really being able to tweak your strategy according to what is happening and what the customer's needs are. I think that is really important. But I'm also glad to share that we are making great headway in getting more and more people to do this digitally or online, where we've seen about 1/3 of our customers in Thailand in last year actually completing the purchase of their car without actually driving or seeing the car. So that is actually a very interesting data for us. And it does show that, by having a trusted platform for them to do this, by providing things like 30-day money-back guarantee in Thailand, actually help instill that trust in them. So that's some of the learnings that I have around omnichannel strategy and how to effectively approach it. I think you have to be agile.
Well, I actually wanted to ask if anyone actually completed their transaction without trying anything, buying a $50,000-$60,000 car over the internet. But yeah, good to hear that.
Yeah, in Thailand, yes, but not yet in Malaysia or Indonesia.
I'm sure we are in the process of making those happen. And I really respect how the CARSOME is understanding the nuance of buying a car. I mean, this is something that's of extreme high value, and for you guys to actually provide the convenience for consumers, making it easy for them to actually complete the transaction with you. Right, so I thank everyone for joining us in the session today. I think a quick summary of the panel discussion. I think I'm hearing 3 recurring themes. Number 1, data is definitely king, but don't drown yourself with it. Deriving insights from these is going to be the important actions and next steps to actually help you make business decisions. And most importantly, you gotta equip your organizations with the technology to drive and combine all of this information together. And most importantly, aligning these throughout the entire organization, just so everyone can agree how it's being collected and how it's being used. So I thank you, Iris, Pia, Nancy, and Neha. I really love the discussion we've had. I'm now handing it back to Jovan for closing. Over to you, buddy.
All right. So thank you so much to each of our speakers, Iris, Bea, Nancy, Neha, and of course you, buddy, Merlvin. For the entire time listening to the session, I was very busy taking notes. So amazing session, amazing insight. So I would just add some insight that was shared by Merlvin earlier. So choose the right channel and technology. Make your messaging consistent and be true to your brand's promises. Have your entire organization aligned with your brand's omnichannel strategy. This is what I like, okay? Prioritize, right? You cannot do all at once. Focus on your customer. They are humans. We are humans. So humanize your strategy. So as the discussion comes to an end, yeah, we have accomplished our goal of learning the best practices from renowned marketing leaders in Asia to improve brands' customer experience journey. So we are better prepared to present in an in-depth overview of every customer's purchasing and overall experience processes across a variety of digital platforms. As we conclude this webinar, we would like to thank our beloved partner, MessageBird, who's been our consistent partner in delivering what's the latest in CX in Asia. So before we let you go, we hope to see you in the last theme of our Connecting the CX Dots in 2023 webinar series happening on June 21st, 2 p.m. Singapore time, where we will talk about programmable email. We have confirmed Gina Riola, Chief Marketing and Communications Officer of Allianz PNB Life, and also Alric Ho, VP for Marketing of CoinHeco, as speakers and panelists for the panel discussion. So scan the QR code if you haven't registered yet, or you can check out the link in the chat box sent by our team as well. We also would like to briefly get your feedback on this webinar. Kindly answer the survey that's going to pop up on your screen upon exiting the session. Thanks everyone, right, for being with us today. Again, my name is Joven. Keep evolving. Bye guys.